Writers of Reddit, what is the most suspicious thing you Googled? What is the max amount of blood loss while still being alive and cohesive coherent? Gave my FBI agent some juice that day. So what is the max amount of blood loss while still being alive and cohesive? How many murders makes someone a serial killer? So how many? How strong would a bomb need to be to level several city blocks? And the worst part is I didn't even get a straight answer. Just make it a nuke to be safe. How long it would take to deliberately addict a preteen girl to laudanum. For a Western novel I ended up not writing. 2 days. Murder methods that look like suicide. Needed to know because in my story the murderers don't get caught. This was several years ago and I haven't heard from the police yet, so I think it's fine. Falling from high places is pretty good, I'd say. You gotta make sure there are no pre-death marks on them and the drugs are hard to identify. When I was younger, sometimes I would get bored and just search up random things on Google. So I searched up how bombs are made. I'm pretty sure on the FBI watch list now. When I was 8 I googled how to kill someone because I was messing with my cousin telling her I was gonna kill her. That was the first time I was exposed to Reddit. Edit. This was almost 9 years ago. How to cook meth. So, how long it would take to bleed out after certain appendages have been cut off. Dash. Nice try, FBI. I'm not falling for that again. I once googled how to murder someone and get away with it. No reason at all, was bored and was wondering if I would find a legitimate answer. My friend once asked Siri where the best place to hide a body to was, and Siri pointed to an abandoned road and a swamp within 10 miles of his location. Chemicals to bleach bones, how to build an anatomical model, and medical malpractice insurance rates over time, in the same 3-day span as least painful type of poison, and suicide versus natural death statistics. Was it a book about a medicine intern turning his victims into skeletons for class? How to kill a child greater than. Process. Less than. Casey Anthony has entered the chat. I searched, will slitting your wrists kill you, and it took me straight to the suicide hotline. On the one hand I'm really glad this function exists where the hotline is the first thing people will see when they Google anything about suicide. But on the other, I need scientific information. Google. How much explosive does it take to take down the Golden Gate Bridge? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Tensile and shear weight limits of human intestine. Turns out you can hang yourself with a coil of your own guts. Pretty sure I'm why my NSA Overwatch dreads heading to work. Wouldn't you end up killing yourself in the process of extracting the coil of your own guts with which you would hang yourself? I would think you'd lose a hell of a lot of blood. I'm writing a war story, so. History and theories of fascism, rise of communism, overthrowing a government, research on various terrorist organizations, ISIS, the IRA, CSA, KKK, etc., chances of survival for getting shot in certain areas, and a bunch of other crazy stuff. But, I've been doing this since 2012 or so I'm sure my file is already marked as fiction writer by whichever organization is in charge of watching us. Hi, I am your scout at the organization of your imagination. You are doing great. Keep going. How much time does a dead body need to rot and decompose? For research purposes. You forgot to put research in quotations. How long can a person go without food and water? Symptoms of blood poisoning, cauterization. How long would it take to die from an abdominal puncture wound? How long can a person fight hand to hand without rest? Force required to break ribs. All googled for the same book, along with various less suspicious entries such as hand tap tattooing, geological formations, weather patterns, and animal behaviors. Researching how criminals do their crimes when writing a book always comes off as suspicious. If you ask people on a forum, how could someone realistically rob a certain bank, it always sounds like you plan 8 nanograms on doing it yourself. Or, how can you dismember and blind a person without killing them? I researched that for a short story about drug cartel violence. What is some of the most painful punishments used in ancient China? Yes, punishments. I regret looking it up. Growing bamboo through the Vatichum is the only one I know about. Disturb me more. Prison time for very specific brutal crimes. How someone can die from jumping from a high height. Blood loss, etc. Find results about the impaled by your own femur thing. Lately I've been into the most peculiar ways of committing suicide, parents killing their kids, J.J. Rousseau's erectile dysfunction, and what exactly happens when men bathe in very cold water. I sometimes think if somebody tried to profile me based on my search history, they'd think I am a completely mental person and should be institutionalized. Looking for softball equipment while at work and googled dicks. Sigh. Brew. I really wish people were including the answers they found so that I never have to Google these things for myself. What incurable genetic diseases can kill you in a few months and cause a painful death? And directly succeeding that, can you externally trigger genetic mutation? 1. Get your victim to have sex with a wasp. They'll get one quickly. 2. Yes. It just won't be very fast without proper input. At one point, my search history looked like this. Oklahoma City bombing, how to make fertilizer bombs, U-Haul truck rentals, U.S. Embassy locations, blast curtain and ballistic reinforcement at U.S. Embassy in Ottawa, emergency services response times, how to build cell phone detonator, effects of overpressure waves by building style, gas main explosions, shrapnel effects on human tissue. How to sabotage a Cessna. What was the knockout gas they used in that school in Chechnya? How do you smuggle people into the USA? Traumatic head injuries. I actually have a mug that says, "Ignore my browsing history. I'm a writer, not a serial killer." I now want that on a mug. Can I get a German U-boat down the Potomac? After looking it up, I would say no. At least not while complete underwater. How a dog penis and a cat penis works. I saw so many pictures of animal genitalia that I want to wash off my brain. For the comments asking, there was a part that one of the characters had to explain how anatomy of animal works. It had to make the characters disgusted and one guy extremely into it. I had to learn how to make meth for a college project, super quick Google search. I learned exactly how to do it step by step. Lol. Greater than a college project. Are you a student at the Crackhead Academy? Pornhub Donkey Kong Smash Ultimate. TF, were you writing, dude? Hide a bodybuilder bomb. I'm not saying I did anything, but those are indeed things that one could Google. Not a writer, but one of my sus Google search is, how to plot a perfect murder and get away with it. Just try to hide the body where it will never be found. All sorts of things about poisons. Best types for these kind of symptoms. How long of a period can it be taken without causing death? What is the death time after consuming a certain amount? Various creative ways to get different poisons into the body. What can they be mixed with to mask any taste or smell? How to extract poisons from plants. Just a whole laundry list of different poison ideas. I'm pretty sure that mixed with constantly looking up baby name meanings, different types of ways to make bombs, and different baking recipes, for personal use, doesn't come across as a great search history. How to summon demons and what drugs will make a person hallucinate for 3 whole days. Stalin's notepad and Hitler is an anime girl. This was a dare whilst I was writing, cause I don't know what I was writing at 3 a.m. in the morning. I once looked up the recipes for both napalm and thermite out of pure curiosity, and now I think I'm on some kind of arsonist watch list. Termite is actually simple, really simple. Hardest part about thermite is reaching the temperature of ignition. Basically aluminum powder mixed with rust, iron oxide, or even more powerful solution, aluminum and copper oxide. I recommend using a blowtorch to ignite it. Nobody can survive only on saline. Since it contains no red blood cells, it can't transport enough oxygen to keep body cells alive. How to tie a hangman's noose. Google had to remind me not to kill myself. Nice try, FBI. I looked up how to skin humans, didn't really get much. I'd probably need to look somewhere like the old Cannibal Cafe to see if someone wrote a long detailed guide. If you still need info, try looking for videos on how to skin a pig. The skin, hide is thicker than that of a human's, but the body is probably closer than something else with incredibly thin skin, like a bird. When it comes to human bodies, the biggest difference to skinning a person and an animal would probably have to do with the legs. Most animals don't have long legs like people do, and the closest you would get would be with a deer or a cow. If you end up needing to write how to butcher a human, I would recommend looking for videos on how to butcher a deer. Deer are close-ish to the size of humans, and besides the lower parts of the legs, you're probably taking the same cuts of meat. Before you ask, no, I am not a cannibal. I just used to hunt a lot, and that involved skinning and butchering the animal. How effective are cadaver dogs? This was after finding out that search and rescue dogs and cadaver dogs are not interchangeable, and it was fascinating research but looks suspicious as hell. Not a writer, I just have ADHD. I've looked up the size of a whale's cock. How big is it? Asking for a friend, of course. What guns do hitmen use? What range do they have? How hard are they to get? Ammo, etc. And lastly, prison system in Shea, Pennsylvania. I live in Shea, Pennsylvania. I didn't realize how really suspicious that all was, until I was texting my BFF about having stayed up late doing that. This was about 5 a.m. on November 4th, and after a long pause she said, "This was for a book, right? What can white phosphorus do to a human body? Nothing good. Watch, we were soldiers. Most common suicide methods." I didn't even get my answer. How bloody would it be to stab a baby 17 times? How do you clean blood up? I just imagined somebody committing a murder, looking at all the blood, and then frantically Googling how to clean it up. Here's a list. What does an eyeless socket look like? Can you restart your heart with your hand? How would the world be affected by copper in the atmosphere? Can blood plasma carry electricity? If you reattached someone's head fast enough, could they live? How plausible are man-made genetic mutations? P. pseudo-bulbar effect, IED, PTSD. If your heart needs to be restarted, odds are your hand won't be working too well either. How to make a pipe bomb, lol. On another note, when my sister was in high school, her boyfriend googled Hitler's Mein Kampf and the FBI showed up at his house. This was 2010, maybe they are more lenient now. He lied to your sister. Greater than how to derail a train. I needed to kill off the immortal queen with access to healing magic in transit, so I googled how to derail a train, figuring that would be easy enough to do and surely that would kill her quickly before the magic could kick in. Turns out, it's actually really hard to derail a train. They have a lot of momentum, and you have to make shockingly large gaps in the tracks before the train does more than jiggle a little. I ended up just sticking her on my world's version of the Hindenburg and blowing it up. Not a writer, but kind of close. I live in Metro Detroit and I'm playing in a tabletop RPG that's set in a fantasy version of the city. In the game there is a wide-ranging conspiracy embedded deep into the state's government and industries. It's headed up by what we think is a minor god of some sort. I've done so many sketchy Google searches as part of this game. Searches for fallout shelters all over the city, because the lead shielding can prevent creatures that can see the future from seeing us. Searches for industrial warehouses for sale. I needed a place to hide a big weird ball full of tiny gin. Searches about the best explosive to blow up a building with and make it look like an accident, pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Searches for depleted uranium for sale. We needed it to make ghost dust. Lots of searches about various government officials, where they live, and what their schedules are like, because some of them might have been replaced by shapeshifters. Searches about the various entrances and exits to the Detroit airport. We needed a quiet way to get in so we could rescue a bunch of kidnapped people being held in one of the hangars there. Searches about US air traffic radar coverage, so we could take our stolen plane full of rescued hostages somewhere we wouldn't be tracked. At the beginning of every session we loudly state a disclaimer that we're just playing a game and not planning any actual terrorist activities for the NSA agents listening through our smart speakers. Once did a combo search on what it takes to build and shoot a rifle at 1 mile plus accurately, how to acquire it, and laws for traveling with it, while also, unrelated, planning a trip to DC and checking walking distances to major landmarks on the National Mall. I got a weird error message on GChat later in the day that I've never seen before that I'm pretty sure was Google linking me up to an NSA listening service. Was writing a short story for an English class in college a few years ago about a woman who builds a nuclear bomb to prove that she could, then ends up using it to hold a city hostage and kick-start her new career as an evil mastermind. She ends up starting an island nation with a strict policy of no extradition. This is a sample of my search history while writing that if I remember it correctly. How to build a radiation containment unit from household materials. Calories in pizza place with mango pizza near me. How to get uranium-235. How to refine uranium-235. What type of jumping spider is black and white? Critical mass U-235. How often do Phidippus audax need to eat? How to tell male spider from female spider safely. Shape 50 pounds of U-235 C4 for sale. Dog commands in Old Norse. Notable dogs in Norse mythology. Garm. How to make C4 at home. How to make a remote detonator. How to trap a fox. How to keep a fox away from your chicken coop. Can you relocate a fox? How to make a cell phone detonator. How many chickens can a fox eat per night? How to catch multiple foxes.
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.